Hello, trading has closed on the 12th of September 2024. We'll do our disclaimer, go over our calls, make some predictions. It's my trading plan for Friday the 13th of September 2024. Please remember, my calls can be wrong. Trade at your own risk. Look for the pattern with the early low. That's this. Tomorrow should also have the early low. We said unless we gapped up smartly, we should see 54.98.56, but I also said nothing could stop a rally from continuing, and the plan was to see what happened after the PPI announcement. Here's what we said. Keep powder dry. Well, we gapped up, and I can't say it was gapping up smartly. And we didn't see 54.98.56, so that's a failed target, and we have to add it to the list. And that's the downside. The upside is we're going to cross two failed targets off the list, 55.66.56, and the ultimate target, 55.85.42. There are no higher MEJT targets. And after 8.5 months of trading, counting this one, we now have 4 lower MEJT targets, so 4 targets haven't printed in 8.5 months, and that's still more than I get in the usual year. So if it's a usual year, this number is going to be seen at some time. Now we also should see the all-time high be at some time, because the wall with gap pattern at that high, that's not a stable pattern. At some time it fills. So we have higher and lower targets. Early on we got a buy signal. We got the minimum target immediately, but no reason to stop at the minimum. In the afternoon we got an ultimate buy and a regular buy, and that's already played out. It was a rally all day, gap up, higher high, with a close under all these highs, so the last few hours didn't accomplish much. If that's maintained, it's not a healthy pattern. If the rally is going to continue, we should gap over today's high. Otherwise, we'll see lower prices, but that doesn't mean there has to be a lower close. For right now, if this is going to continue, we have to gap over that. This red trend line is a very significant trend line. We rallied to it, but not through it in a straight line. When you do that, either you gap over the line or the line wins, which means if you don't gap over that line, move over, it isn't going to stick. So once again, if the rally is going to continue, you want to gap over these highs, and that we're not going to know until tomorrow. I still don't think counting these waves is as clear as I'd like, but you can still count this as an ABC with C equal to A. Now this doesn't have to be the end of blue C, it could be just A of C, and it doesn't have a fib relationship to blue A. It doesn't have to, but usually it will, so it doesn't mean that blue C is over, but it doesn't preclude it as long as you can find a way to count these waves. Well, I don't have any count I'm perfectly happy with, but this count from down here to down here was a clear count. And if this move up is black C, and that's black A, C is equal to A. And if you look at black B, there's A, there's B of black B, and C is twice A. So it's a valid count. It sure looks forced to me. I don't like forced counts, but it's a valid count if we stop here, but that's no guarantee we're going to stop here. It just means if we do stop here, you can explain it. All of this is going to require, if you're a bull, gapping up tomorrow, because if we start down tomorrow, this count might actually turn out to be right. Well, Friday's pattern has the early low regardless of where we open. Typically it's a rally day with a high in the final hour, but if it's weak we should see more weakness. We gapped up, hit a higher high, closed under midday highs. We've rallied in a straight line, a significant trend line, and that's resistance. If we're going to continue higher on a beta, we should gap over today's high. And if we don't, I think we'll see lower prices regardless of where we close. Now this week's close and reversal was within the window for Caroline's change in trend. And the all-time high should fall at some point, so if the rally continues, it's a logical target at logical time. The catch is change in trend to date could also identify a high within 3 days, and we've had a pretty strong rally, and we still have lower targets, and they should print at some time too. So if resistance holds, today's high is also within this change in trend date. And let's not forget, these dates don't always work. If there is a change in trend, it tends to be on one of Caroline's dates, but the converse isn't true. Just because there's a date doesn't mean there's a change in trend. So we're at resistance, we're in a strong rally, we have higher targets, we have lower targets too. All the bulls have to do is to gap over these highs, but if they don't, it's at least possible to count this leg being over. It's the pattern with the early low. Typically it's a rally day, and if it isn't a rally day, there tends to be early weakness. It's not a requirement, but usually it'll drop pretty much right from the open. So I'm guessing that before the first hour is over, we're going to know if we get the gap up over here and hold it, or get a strong move down, and that could lead to further declines. And that's today's call.